Hi, I'm Abby. This is Abby Matt Reads, and welcome to my December wrap up. This library I have brought to you this week is the Bodleian Library in Oxford, England. I think it's pronounced Bodleian. If you know how to pronounce it and I don't, please comment down below. This library was established in 1602 but has roots going back all the way to the 14th century. And until the opening of the British Museum in 1753, it was considered England's national library. I've read 7 books and not gone below a 4-star rating, so it's been a great month. So let's see which books I have read in December. First book I completed in December was Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, and oh my god, right, first of all I'll tell you what it's about. Basically there's this planet that is under attack, and Katie and her ex-boyfriend, bit of a complication there, get aboard these 2 ships that evacuate the planet, and they think they're okay, they're refugees, they're in this ship, and then a virus strikes, and it's absolutely terrifying. I did not know I would love this book as much as I did. It has become my favourite book of 2018. I had no idea that it would be as funny or as scary as it is, for that matter. The virus that sweeps through is absolutely terrifying, and also the conversations that Katie has with her on-off again boyfriend, who's on a different ship to her, are absolutely hilarious. I love the way that they flirt and use humour for that. It actually made the book really enjoyable, as well as the formatting. As I've said before, it's all in kind of multimedia formatting, so you can just fly through this book. I could read 100 pages without even thinking about it. Illuminate had me hooked from the very beginning. Some people said that they didn't know what was going on at the first parts of the book, but I got hooked into it straight away, and I knew exactly what it was. And Katie has become my new kind of sci-fi hero. She's amazing. She absolutely kicks ass, and the emotional bits that involved her just kind of broke my heart as well. It's a roller coaster ride of a book, and I really recommend it. I give this book 5 out of 5 stars. If I could give it 6, I would. So yeah, fuck it, I will. 6 out of 5 stars. The second book I read in December, I don't have on me at the moment, so hopefully it'll pop up somewhere, and that's Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. Now this book is kind of about this kind of idyllic town, Shaker Heights, where families live and they all play by the rules, especially Mrs. Richardson, one of the main characters, who has seemingly a perfect life and everything. And then Mia and her daughter Pearl, not Paul, her daughter Pearl, came in, and everything kind of turns upside down. There's a lot of kind of secrets. There's a lot of kind of themes about motherhood and the implications of people's actions in this book. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to probably be releasing next week a review on this book, so I'm not going to go too far into it. I will just say that I absolutely loved the hidden depths of this book. I loved how well fleshed out the characters were and how they interacted with each other, and I definitely was emotionally invested in this book from the very beginning, and I give it 4 out of 5 stars. The third book I finished in December was The Cursed Wife by Pamela Hartshorn. It was another historical fiction book that I love, set in Elizabethan London. A woman called Mary, who seemingly has a great life. She is married to a rich merchant. She has some beautiful children, although she has a past. At some point she switched identities with a woman named Kat, and I'm not going to go into too much details of why they had to switch identities, but Kat comes back into her life and starts to ruin it, basically. I read this book in a day. I found it so absolutely addictive. The arrival of Kat in Mary's life and the downward spiral she caused onto Mary's life, her manipulations, her little schemes and everything were absolutely thrilling to watch. There were twists and turns everywhere in this book, and the ending was shocking, and I thoroughly recommend it. I give it 5 stars, and I really think you should check it out. The 4th book I read in December was The Axmans Jazz by Ray Celestine. Celestine? I'm so rubbish with names. I'm so sorry. Anyway, this book is about a real serial killer that haunted New Orleans in 1919. The axmans jazz. An axman is another word for a sax in old terms, and this killer would at some point put a letter in the newspaper and say that any house that was playing jazz music he would not call upon, in his very sinister way. But 3 very different characters have motives for wanting to catch this serial killer, and their different leads carry them all kind of together and all over the place until they finally solve the mystery, and it is really gripping. I buddy read this with Cress, which was maybe the not best way to read this book, because I think because of all the different separate leads all the separate characters were doing, it should have been read more kind of consistently. But saying that, I still loved reading it. The atmosphere of New Orleans in this time, the author painted this picture, this atmosphere so amazingly well. Like the music, the social issues, just the scenery, everything about it was just so vivid and atmospheric. I loved it. It was beautifully written, and it was really well crafted as well. I love the way everything came together to make something very important, and I give this book 4 out of 5 stars. The 5th book I finished in December was Lily Allen's autobiography, My Thoughts Exactly. This book is fascinating and shocking. She is so brutally honest and really paints this kind of, I don't know, disturbing in a way scene of like kind of the ups and downs and lives of a recording artist. Like the men who tried to take advantage of her, the drug binges she went on, the illicit sexual experience she has. She is so honest with everything. She talks about incidences with other celebrities that you wouldn't know if you hadn't read this book. It's really interesting about that. She leaves no holes barred on this. She writes about every single bad thing she's done. So while sometimes it is quite hard to feel sorry for her, I mean, for instance, when she was on a sex and drug binge in America and realised she'd missed 5 FaceTime calls of her children and she didn't really care, so it's a bit hard to feel sorry for her. She does do some very selfish things, but I've never read a celebrity's autobiography that is so honest and so raw and just so fascinating to read, really. And you do wonder what goes on behind every kind of recording artist when they start making money and they suddenly find fame. So I really recommend this book, and I give it 5 out of 5 stars. The 6th book I finished in December was also another buddy read, this time with Alex Black. I will put Alex's channel down below, as well as Cressida's Starcross Books channel down below. This book is very different. It is about a kind of teenage girl whose teacher seemingly commits suicide, or maybe she didn't. There's this whole mystery about it. There's a vast array of characters. She finds herself ingratiated in the most popular group in school. It is so funny though. I read it with Alex and she didn't like it as much as I did, and she didn't kind of get the humour, but I love this kind of deadpan abstract humour because it is quite an abstract book. It is quite out there. It is quite very original, very different. Marissa Pessel, who wrote this book, also wrote Never Will Wake, and these books are so completely different to one another, but I can't pick a favourite between the two because they're just so different, and I like them each in their own right. But this one is hilarious. I love Blue's mindset. I love her kind of pessimistic kind of, oh, here we go, okay, I'm doing this now kind of nature. And the dad is the best character of all. He's just so eccentric. He is just so insane, but in the best way possible. And even though the mystery is the kind of teacher that hands herself, that doesn't come in until kind of later on in the book. You know it's going to happen from the first few pages, but I feel like the real mystery is the mystery of this woman herself and all the people that kind of interact with her and what she's doing in her life, because there are very unexplained avenues she goes down that you have to kind of chase, and it's really worth a read. Really made me laugh. I found it hilarious, and I give it 5 out of 5 stars. The last book I read in December was The Witches of St. Petersburg by Imogen Edward Jones. Now, this was a present from my brother that I started reading Christmas Day and finished as soon as I could. It's kind of about, obviously, St. Petersburg and these sisters, Melitza and Anastasia. You'll remember Anastasia from the tales. And anyway, they are witches. And the new Tsarina, I think that's how you pronounce it, the Tsar's wife, is longing for a baby boy. And they're ingratiated into her friendship fold. And they try very hard with their powers to make sure she has a boy. She has 4 daughters, and Russia is crying out for an heir. So when this does not happen, the witches conjure up Rasputin. And Rasputin is an amazing character in this book. Now, I am used to only reading kind of British historical fiction, so it was really interesting to read about like Russian history just before the end of the beginning of the revolution. Rasputin is such an interesting character to read about. The book kind of gets pretty filthy about 2/3 of the way in, if you like that kind of thing. I mean, like, Spencer definitely liked the effect it had on me, so there you go. I think that this is a great amount of historical fiction. I wish there was a bit more magic involved, because it was more kind of about the social aspects and the things that were going wrong with all the different characters, which was great. The way they all interacted with each other, the relationships between the characters was brilliant. A bit hard to keep track on, but there is a kind of names list at the beginning for you to actually flick back and think, oh yeah, I know who he or she is. And I give this book 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, well, that's the end of my wrap up today. If you have liked it, please put a thumbs up down below. I've told you how happy that makes me. Do I have to tell you every video? Yes. Also, please subscribe. I am 1 subscriber away from 200. So if you are watching this and you have not subscribed, this is your time now to absolutely make my month. Please. My Twitter is @AbbieMattReads, and my Facebook page is facebook.com/AbbieMattReads. If you've read any of these, if you want to ask me questions about any of these books, if you just want to chat about anything in general, put your comments down below. I love comments. I'll be happy to answer to you. Let's have a conversation. Hope you're all well. Hope you all had a great Christmas and a great New Year. Bye.